watching the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Steve Grover back for another episode of the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast. Hopefully everyone had a great summer. We're here now at Grover Law Firm filming another episode of the podcast on this balmy, cloudy day in the last day of August. Just want to take a shout out to my younger sister, Maya Grover. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Maya. I won't mention everybody how old you are, but just, thank God you finally made 21, so hopefully you have a good time in Vegas at 21 years old, okay? So my guest tonight, if anyone knows about the motorcycle community here in Calgary, it's definitely Bobby Baum. So Bobby, welcome to the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast. How are you doing?
Great. Nice to be here. Thanks. With the Bulldogs.
Yeah, exactly. So I know... So tell us a little bit about Bobby. Where are you from originally?
Well, I'm a native Calgarian. Yeah, born and raised. Yeah.
Okay, so Where were you born? What hospital?
General.
Okay,
yeah.
General Hospital. Okay, I was born in the Holy Cross. That's how old I am too. Okay?
Yeah. They're all gone now. Yeah.
Yeah. And just a good fact for you, my dad actually was a surgeon at the Calgary General.
Oh, perfect.
So when I was a wee little boy, my dad had to do rounds for the surgeons on Saturday morning. So I would go with him at 9 o'clock in the morning, hang out at the helicopter pad there, go into the doctor's lounge, try all their coffees and teas and soups until Dad was done. And then after that, we go for a nice lunch down in Bridgeland area. So you're probably pretty familiar with Bridgeland.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how's your summer been?
It's been pretty good, actually. Had a fair bit of riding in, some nice weather, and it's been great working around the house, and so a little bit of everything.
Okay. And so you're born here in Calgary?
Yes. Yeah. Went to many schools. Didn't go to one school.
Where'd you end up graduating high school from?
Down in Western Canada.
Okay, so you're one of those rich, smart kids?
Well, no, quite the opposite. Yeah.
how'd you end up going to Western?
I don't know, just a matter of logistics of where we lived and everything.
Okay, so you didn't live in Mount Royal or belong to the Glencoe and hang out?
No, but I had friends there. So had been there. Yeah.
Okay. And then, obviously, motorcycling is a big part of your life. Can you tell us, when did you start riding bikes?
1967.
Okay, that was before I was born.
I was 13 years old then.
Okay, so that's how young I am. You're starting to ride before I was born. And what was your first bike that you rode?
A Suzuki 50. I think it was called an M15. It's kind of a street bike.
Okay.
And a two-stroke.
Yeah.
So put a lot of miles in that, riding that around.
Okay.
And I was riding it before I was really allowed to. I guess you're meant to be 14 at the time.
Yeah. And then you've been riding bikes since 67?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, so I know you're wearing an Indian shirt today?
Yeah, I've kind of gone through many brands, and Indian is kind of where I'm sitting right now, and I enjoy riding them, and they've proved well for me, so...
Okay, so what brands of Indians do you have right now?
Well, I just have the one. I have the Roadmaster. I have the touring bikes, and so and it's it's a comfortable bike for both Wendy, my wife, and I. So that's kind of our best fit. So, but we also have an Excelsior Henderson as well, and that's our kind of our fun bike.
Okay, so you said you did some riding this summer. Any long trips out of Calgary?
Well, in the spring we went down to Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, from Calgary?
Yeah, but we didn't ride. We because the weather's too cold. So we run with a group of people called Hog Rider. It's just an informal group of people where we get together once or twice a year, and we hire 2 semi trucks, and we ship 38 bikes down across the line somewhere, and then we go riding. So when the weather's too cold here, we're down south riding. So we go down to, this year we went to ship the bikes to Charleston, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And then we rode all through 5, 6, 7 states, and then we ended up in Nashville, Tennessee, and the bikes were picked up from Nashville and shipped back home. That was all in middle of April. Yeah.
So how long was that trip with Wendy?
It's about, when we go 10, 12 days, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice, and we travel with a group, and so the benefits are, we have, a lot of people with us, if you break down or something like that. And then plus, when we travel, we get all, better motel rates and stuff like that, and which is a benefit, especially with the US dollar and stuff. So it works out quite well.
Okay, so you started off in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And you went through the Gamecock State. That's
Yeah,
what, they're pretty, University of South Carolina, and there's Clemson University Tigers. So
Yeah.
how long were you in South Carolina for?
Oh, God. I think we're a couple days in Charleston and then another day or two in South Carolina. So we just spent some time there and really enjoyed Charleston. It was pretty neat place.
It's kind of like old colonial city.
Yeah, there's an old part and there's a new part, but yeah, definitely the old part is really cool, and they've really kept it up well, and it's enjoyable, and you can walk around there, and it's you feel pretty safe, and great restaurants, great food, And,
Okay, and then where'd you go from South Carolina? What other state did you go into?
Oh God, we're South Carolina, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Tennessee, a little bit of Georgia, cut through Georgia.
Okay,
Yeah.
so did you go through Atlanta?
No, we're north of there, so we're in the north part of the state.
Okay.
But it was pretty quick. And
Were you near Macon at all? You know where that is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. We
Yeah.
weren't in Macon. Now we're north of there. Sorry, I'm trying to think of just some smaller towns. We went through the back roads, right? We try and stay off the main freeways
Okay.
and go all the scenic roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Georgia, and did you get into Alabama at all, or no?
No, we didn't this time. No, we went from there into North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. Yeah, so
Okay,
yeah,
and then you end up in Nashville.
I ended up in Nashville.
So did you and Wendy? Now people probably don't know, but Wendy's your lovely wife.
Yes.
And
yes.
how long you two been married for?
God, now that's a good question. At least we're coming on 20 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's put up for you for 20 years.
Yeah, and fortunately, she has enjoyed the motorcycle side of things there, and has been able to tolerate me.
Okay. And then you end up in Nashville. That was your last stop on your 12-day tour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did you do the Tail of the Dragon?
We were right there, and some of the people went on the Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I've been on the Tail of the Dragon a couple times myself. So I kind of took a day off and then walked around where we were and talked to a few other motorcycle guys from the area that were running the Tail of the Dragon. There's guys that had trailer down from Maine and I forget the other state there. And I talked to the guys there, and there's a couple of guys on sport bikes, and they were riding pretty hard and heavy on the Tail of the Dragon. I was asking them, how fast they're going, if they got pulled over by the police. And one guy said, yeah, he managed to get pulled over by the police. He was wicking her pretty good.
Okay.
But he said he never got a ticket because he's a cop.
Oh, okay. But no Tail of the Dragon this year?
No, I didn't go. But, guys that were with us that went and rode it. And so we had to do a little bit of backtracking. One of the fellows kind of broke down, and we had to go pick up his bike and had to ship that off to another city for a truck to pick it up. So that took a bit of time. Yeah.
So what's the Tail of the Dragon like? Is it like is it as mythical and famous as people talk about, or no?
No, it's a great road, and and it really depends on what day you ride it. We've rode it on the Roadmaster a few times, and it's definitely challenging, and especially two up, it's even more challenging. But I think it can be a fun road, and you just try not to overextend your abilities while you're riding it, and take it careful. There are other people that are on there quite a bit, and it depends on that day. So I've been on there on a day when the Volkswagen tuner cars were going in the opposite direction from us. So you got to be careful that those guys aren't crossing the line, because they're pushing it pretty hard, and you just want to make sure you're within your lane. So, but you can still have fun, but you got to be really careful. That's
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you end up in Nashville. Did you spend any time down in Broadway?
Oh yeah, no, we got a motel that was fairly close to downtown, so walking distance down there. So a couple of years ago, we're a little bit further out, and we changed this year, so we're down close to downtown, so we could walk it quite easily from the motel. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay. Did you go into Kid Rock's place at all, or no?
No, we never. there's a new place here. God, I should have wrote it down, think of the name there. And we spent some time in this bar. It was a whole new building, and it was a big building for downtown there. And geez, they had some really good entertainment in there. And we spent a few hours in there, listening to the guys that were playing that were fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to Nashville quite a few times, and I have a famous saying. I lost my wedding ring in a honky tonk bar in Nashville on Broadway.
Yeah? Really?
That should maybe be a country song, but it actually did happen.
Oh, geez.
I never did replace it yet. So.
Yeah. Tootsie's? Did you go to Tootsie's?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of little honky tonk bars that hang out there. And so in '67, you decided to get into riding motorcycle. Why? What was the choice of getting into riding?
I don't know. I just had this desire, and the bikes were cheap back then. And there was, quite a few motorcycle shops around. And the one I bought was, the motorcycle shop was called Motorbike City, which was up in Richmond Road and 37th Street, Southwest.
Still around?
No, it's gone a long time ago. And that bike shop went from selling Suzukis to, it moved a little further down Richmond Road when they started selling Triumphs, and they had Nortons. I can't remember if they had BSAs, and then they still had Suzuki. And then at one point, they as the British bikes were dying off, they took on Harley Davidson.
Okay, and so that's one of your favorite groups.
Yeah. And ironically, this shop, it changed its name from Motorbike City to Calgary Harley Davidson.
Okay, the one up in Pegasus?
No, it was the original Calgary Harley Davidson, and that name stood for a couple of years with these guys, and then at one point they finally went under.
Okay. And then obviously, growing up here in Calgary and getting to motorcycling at 67, you've seen a big, transition of less bikes and more bigger motorcycle shops now.
Yeah, it's the demographics have changed, from the guy that, used to have a couple bikes in his bike shop, and you could go pull up and sit at the counter and, chit chat with the guys and, and talk about what you wanted to do with your motorcycle. And now they're massive dealerships that are out there, and it's quite different,
Okay. And then why do you love motorcycling?
Well, it gets in your blood, it's an addiction, it's, you start riding and you tour on the bikes, you feel the air, you feel the wind, you smell the smells, and, it's a full on,
adrenaline rush?
The senses, adrenaline rush in the senses,
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
And then obviously anyone that knows you in the motorcycle community knows that you're the founder of Two Wheel Sunday. So can you tell people a little bit about what was the idea behind Two Wheel Sunday? What's it all about? And why we have it here in Calgary? Well,
I've gone through many motorcycle groups and been part of many motorcycle groups over the years. And it is kind of, we're at one of the motorcycle shows, the Calgary Motorcycle Show, and we started talking about, all the different groups that are around and, how do you bring the groups together? Yeah, we're together at the motorcycle show, but then after the motorcycle show happens and actually people are out riding, there wasn't a lot of integration and, cohesion amongst the groups. And so somebody mentioned, well, why don't we have an event where we could have all the groups together and where people get to meet each other, from the scooter guys up to the touring bike guys, up to the sport bike guys. And, and you get to know a few people and you get to understand their part of the sport, for instance, a lot of people might not want to ride sport bikes, but at least they can meet sport bike riders and understand their world. And the same with the scooter guys and the Harley guys. And so it came up, why don't we do this? And so, I talked to, some people at the Victory dealership at the time, and we said, well, why don't we try and do something like this? And next thing you know, within a couple of weeks, we had it rolling. We got a hold of Donnie at Universal Cycle and a couple other motorcycle shops, and we said, let's give this a whirl. And people from the Canadian Vintage Motorcycle Group in Calgary here, the Rocky Mountain section, they stepped up to the plate and said, well, we'll help sponsor you. And then Donnie said he'll sponsor us, and the same with the Calgary Motorcycle Club. So we have a bit of a fun there. So and we closed off a whole street over in 3A Street there and said, let's give this a go. And we thought, wow, we'll get a bunch of the bike vendors and, some of the garage guys there. And we thought if we get 500 or 1,000 bikes there, this would be great. Well, I think we had 3,000 bikes.
The first year?
First year, yeah.
And what year was that?
2014.
Okay, so now we're in 2023, post-COVID.
Yeah.
So it's been around for about almost 10 years, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's sort of like, obviously I'm pretty familiar with it. I was a chairperson for 2 years.
Yeah.
But if people aren't familiar with it, it's sort of like a motorcycle show for Calgary in the summertime on the first Sunday of June, correct?
Yeah, a street fair. We like to call it a street fair for
Okay.
motorcycles. Yeah, and so that's.
But there's no drinking, no marijuana,
no
girls
nothing.
running around with their tops off.
And
It's not like a Sturgis North, right?
It's not. Yeah, it's not a Sturgis North in the same sense. We still have all the motorcycles there, but because we're going through a permit process, we're going through this, kind of the same thing. The 4th Street Festival is, and the Stampede Board is. We have to go through all these hoops to be there. Part of it is, that if we wanted a liquor license, the hoops that you have to run to have a liquor license are pretty huge. And so it's much easier to say, no, we don't want any liquor there. And we prefer people, kept their smoking of other materials away from Two-Wheel Sunday so we can keep it a kids event as well, right? So
There's no stunting going on?
No stunting, none of that stuff.
So if I showed up next year with my Harley started stunting, would you kick me out?
Well, we'd probably ask you pretty kindly not to do that,
No burnouts.
In the 10 years we've done this, we've only had to really ask, 1 or 2 people, to try and be a little bit more observant. And we put signs up there at Two-Wheel Sunday saying, please respect the neighborhood. And I think everyone, respects the neighborhood, and they respect that. That Two-Wheel Sunday is putting on this event, and if this event was to go bad in some way because of some bad actors, well then we'd lose the whole event.
Okay, so where is it? It was this June, just this past June.
Yeah, it's always the first Sunday.
And I know you changed the location. Where is it located now?
Now we're on 5th Street Northeast, between 42nd Avenue and 46th Avenue. It's the whole site is approximately a kilometer long, or over a kilometer long.
Okay.
So we close off this whole street for motorcycles only, and just because of this location, kind of a boxed area, that we can close off half of that street and have it motorcycles only. And so by 9 o'clock in the morning, there's the truck and car traffic is gone, and then it's motorcycles only, and we run till 3 p.m. And from 9 till 3, we're averaging about 9,000 motorcycles going through the gates.
Okay, so you're sort of like perpendicular to Edmonton Trail, and probably in between Cycle Works and Jack Carter's Power Sport, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Jack Carter's at the north end, and Calgary Indian is at the south end.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's and there's quite a few motorcycle shops in the area. So it's a good area.
So how was the turnout this year? Just this 2023?
Well, we're a little bit leery at first. We weren't sure how it was going to go because of COVID, and haven't had a couple of years where we didn't have it. So it was a bit of a struggle to get some of the dealers and some of the people that were involved as far as vendors and stuff to come back, to be a part of it and try and prove the benefits of Two-Wheel Sunday. And in the end, everyone showed up, and we had probably better than 80-90 vendors there total, and it worked out quite well,
Okay.
And so we had the attendance and everything, and we had 5 food trucks that were there, and
So it was a well-attended event.
Yeah, no, I thought
Weather was good.
Weather was good, and it went very, very smoothly, and I guess all the hiccups of running this over the years, we've kind of smoothed them all out. So the event goes up real quick, and it's running quick, and people are on site, and
having a good time.
We make sure it's safe for them. We do everything to make sure that, the grounds are safe, the streets are safe,
So it's it's always the first Sunday in June.
Yeah.
There's a little shutdown during COVID, right?
Yeah, we still planned the event during COVID, so we still had to put in an application to the city and say, okay, we wanted to do an event. And then as, things got closer, then this, the city or Alberta government had to say, no, we're not running any events, but we still had to go through the process 2 years in a row, even though there's no event,
So there's shut down for 2 years, 2021. And then I know last year it was a go, but then there's a rain out, correct?
We had a rain out. Yeah, dang. Yeah, it was unfortunately, we're Two-Wheel Sundays and we're kind of a valley there, and we kind of got caught with the rain in the valley. And so all our grass was wet and the roads were wet. And so all our vendors usually go up on the boulevard on the grass. And so at some point we just decided that it wouldn't be right to put them up in the grass, and as far as safety and stuff like that was concerned, we just said no, we'll take the safer route and just cancel it.
Okay, so then this was the first showing this June, for almost 3 years, where you did. It was Two-Wheel Sundays coming back, and it went well.
Yeah, very well. Like I'm really chuffed about it. That so many groups are involved, and I have to throw out some stuff there for Robbie Sadu from Fresh Start and that, that he brought a pile of his volunteers there and helped us organize and helped us set up Two-Wheel Sunday and that. And it took a lot of the onus off us for having to go to the groups to find volunteers when people were still a little bit reluctant to, get back into the volunteering side of things. And Robbie and his group did us a marvelous job, and it went so smoothly with him doing that, and we have nothing but
good things to say about Robbie.
Exactly.
He's a good man. I mean, at one time I think his family was a patient of my dad's.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that we go back far, but so it's sort of the Two-Wheel Sunday is sort of like an outdoor motorcycle show with the street vendors. You go in there, you can ride your bike up and down the road, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, in one direction, and so there's bikes parked on either side of the road, and and there's enough that you could probably get two bikes going side by side down the road if you want to. There's that much room, but usually single file, and and we have lots of parking there. I mean, part of it is we use one of the properties that was owned by Pokar Construction, and that they owned all the property for a lot of the buildings there, and they sold out to the Hyatt Auto Group.
Okay.
And then Hyatt Auto Group, once they bought out, they agreed to let us still continue to use their property.
Yeah.
And then Pokar still owns the building at the very south end of 5th Street on 42nd Avenue. Yeah. And they've supported us all along, and they said we're more than welcome to use their property, which is, bonus and all that. So the site has kind of changed a little bit, but with these different owners and stuff like that, it's worked out quite well for us.
So Two-Wheel Sunday, unlike the motorcycle show, you can see, you can hear, you can smell the exhaust, the gasoline, all that stuff.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to say, to dealers, to people that have some vintage bikes and stuff like that, and people that have some bikes, they're in their garage and stuff that, people don't see every day, so, you could bring out, let's say, a Vincent, I mean, how many people have actually seen a Vincent? Yeah. Well, a lot of people probably seen one, but have you actually heard one run? You know? Yeah. And you probably, heard, say like a Suzuki Gamma. Yeah. Very rare bike, for 4-cylinder, 2-stroke, square engine. And we lined up a couple to get out there a couple of years ago. And unfortunately this year we didn't get them there. But, in the future we hope to have bikes like that there. Okay. We had a Norton Rotary there, very rare. There's probably only a couple in Canada. Yeah. And, stuff you get to see. I have an Excelsior Henderson, the only one in Alberta, and I had that at the show, too.
You ran that?
Oh, yeah.
You smell the gas?
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask you a question. So on the way, just before here, I had to go from my office to go feed my pups. You're familiar with Winston and Ruzi. Yeah. And just to let you know, we know, but you've got an English Bulldog, too, named... What's Penny. Her name? Penny, and she's actually related to my same litter almost, right?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, Penny, and Penny's 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's a little family. We got like
Yeah.
a little family connection between Roosevelt and Penny, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
uncle and aunt.
Exactly. But then I was, and then I got home. I was watching YouTube, and then Trout's, the election's coming up next year, and Trump's trying to, get back in the presidency, and he's talking bad about Biden about electrical vehicles. So since I saw that, I said, listen, I'm going to be interviewing Bobby Baum, and he's a motorcycle rider for a long time. I know he talked about smelling the gas and hearing it. What do you think of these electrical vehicles coming out, these motorcycles?
Well, it's going to change. We can't stop the change, and there it is. I mean, whether it's
but why do we have to go this way? I mean, just because the government says, hey, electrical's better, why don't we just stick with gas? Because I was born and raised in Alberta like you. I like gas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think the fear in a lot of people is one day the electrical vehicles, they said something like 2035. Okay, after this point, you have to buy electrical vehicles.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be no different that the vehicles that we have here already, motorcycles, cars, or whatever, there's going to be these cars and motorcycles that people are going to collect and keep anyway, right?
Yeah.
So let's use Harley Davidson, for instance. Everyone's going out and they're buying, the latest Harley Davidson, but you're still going to see people collecting the Evo, and the twin cams and all this other stuff. They're still around, those bikes, and there's still going to be generations of people that are working on these bikes. And the same thing, for Triumph, and it doesn't matter, Suzuki, Yamaha, whatever. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be this dramatic drop off. And I think that's the thing that scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
The thing about the electric motorcycles coming, and they're going to be here, is that the reliability of the charging and how fast they charge, and what's your distance that you can ride them and all that. And as that improves, then you'll see a better transition for people willing to go there. So we still like to hear the sound of the gas engines and stuff. It'll be like the guys right now. You have guys that ride touring bikes, and they have dual sport bikes, and they have sport bikes or whatever.
But I got a bunch of bikes. So if I go from my naked bike to my Harley, and I ride it, I can still smell the gas. You know what I'm saying? And I can hear the engine. You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying here, and my drift is that at some point you might have that electric bike in the garage, but you'll still have these other bikes there too, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think somewhere along the lines you'll see the change.
But
dude, do I like the sound of electric bike right now? Not terribly, but I probably like the power. I haven't ridden one, but from what I've read about some of the bikes that are out there, I'm sure they're pretty cool, and you still get the wind in your face and do some riding then.
Well, I mean, I know you're familiar with like all bikes, sort of like me, Harleys and Ducatis and Indians. I know you ride Indians now, but a couple of years ago, Harley brought out the Live Wire.
Yeah,
and that was a complete disaster. That's my take on it. Did you ever ride that bike at all?
I sat on it.
What do you think of it, honestly?
And I thought, they did as far as design side of it, I think they did a pretty good job of trying to mock it up motorcycle like as best they could with an electric motor in there. I think it was just a little bit too early out of the gates, and the price of it was $45,000. Yeah, it was too much, right? So that was a lot to chew at the time. So
but honestly, I mean, we all have, we've all watched Sons of Anarchy, okay?
Yeah.
And we watched Peter Fonda and Easy Rider, okay?
Yeah.
But honestly, it's some dude that's 40 years old. He's got a midlife crisis. And he wants to get a bike. Is he going to buy a Road Glide Special, or is he going to buy a Live Wire? Probably a Road Glide Special, right?
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah. At this point, anyway,
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. I saw the bike, and I know it came out like it had like lime green and orange and all these funky colors.
Yeah.
I looked at the price, $45,000. That's a lot of bike. A lot of money for a little bike, and I mean, I don't even know if they sold any at Calgary Harley at all.
Yeah. But think about it in these terms. Is that a couple of years ago, everyone was riding, I don't know, a truck bicycle, right? Mm-hmm. And they're riding the dual sport truck bicycle off-road and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
They had no batteries.
Now
a couple of years later, pretty near every bike out there has a battery, and guys are riding their battery powered bicycles. Now, the same guys and kids and stuff that are growing up in those bicycles are probably going to transition fairly easily into an electric motorcycle. The same way, I came from a Suzuki 50 up to a 125 and so on and so forth, right? And I think you'll see that. And that's been lacking in the motorcycle world for quite a while now, is the beginner's side, the smaller bikes to bring people into the bigger bikes, right?
Yeah, I mean they have the smaller bikes in like Europe, and then I know Triumph is bringing out a 400cc for 2023.
I saw that.
The little scramblers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The only problem is when you get into 400cc, it lasts you for about 6 months, and then you want more power, and then you jump up to 700, and everybody always wants a penal extension. They go with the leader bike, and then after 10 years they realize it's too much. So they go back to 700, 800cc bike, and that's pretty much all you need if it's a sport bike or naked bike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, I saw the live wire, you've seen it. But if you're going to ride from Calgary to Vancouver on that little bike or a road glide, you probably would take the road glide, wouldn't you?
Well, for sure, because the live wire wasn't built for it. Its range was too short, and the battery life and all that. So, I mean, like I say, Gallo attempted designing it, but unfortunately it wasn't proven for the long distance haul.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then you've gone through your series of bikes, and obviously now you're an Indian fan. Why are you an Indian fan? Tell us that.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of things. I rode the Harleys and I enjoyed the Harleys, and I being part of Calgary, I started the Harley Owners Group back in '86. I was here and did that. But when the Indian came out, I was looking at them and sat on them and then took one for a ride, and I went, wow, I could tell right away the mechanical on it was very, very well done.
Compared to Harley?
Even compared to a Harley, they've done a good job.
Which bike? What bikes did you have as a Harley owner?
I had electric glides for a long time. I had many, many electric glides.
Okay.
And so, I guess the thing that was there is, the Indian had the gear drive primary, and that was pretty nice. And they had the right-hand belt drive, which made it easier to work on the bike if you wanted to. It had, good power, right out of the box, for a stock bike. You didn't have to do a lot to it. I know with mine, I probably less than $2,000 into it on stage one, and it runs quite well, right?
Okay, so you didn't have to put like a stage 4 in there or anything like that, like a Harley?
No, it runs well. It runs well.
And then, so the dealership here in Calgary it's Calgary Cycle Works, right?
Yeah.
Off Edmonton Trail.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a small dealership. I've been there many, many times, and they got, I bought a couple bikes off Dave Anderson.
Oh, right.
But one was a scooter, and I got, and then actually when he used to be at Blackfoot, I bought an MV Agusta, which I still have.
Nice.
And that's like sort of motorcycle art. But the dealership is small compared to Calgary Harley.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the I don't know. I guess the transition of people going from other brands into Indian has been somewhat slower, but they're still getting the bikes out the door. I can tell you from being part of the Indian Motorcycle Owners Group that there is more people riding them, and it's getting bigger. So. Fast.
Okay, and Indian's owned by Polaris, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the mothership.
Yeah, they make tanks and Jeeps for the U.S. Army, don't they?
Yeah, they make a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay, so they got a lot of money behind them, obviously.
Yeah, they're an engine development company, and so they have all kinds of engines that they develop for ATVs and stuff like that. So,
but obviously, like anyone that wants to buy a bike, you don't want to get into I'll give you an example like MV Agusta. Yeah. I mean, they're in and out of bankruptcy every second, third year. They have a dealership here in Calgary. Next year, it's pulled out. I mean, I just kept my bike because I like it. I haven't ridden it maybe 3 or 4 years because I know it's impossible to get parts out of it. But if you're going to buy an Indian, there's a lot of money behind the Indian brand, correct?
Yeah, they went into the product and they started it up and they developed it well and they put a lot of money into it, and they'll never tell you how much money they sunk into the the Indian brand and how much they spent on the motors and stuff, but the technology and stuff that they put into them is quite good, you know.
Okay.
I know with the Scout, for instance, they changed, they followed Cosworth engines and they followed Ducati and said, you know, what can we do to make this engine better? And they did a hell of a job, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so Polaris used to have Victory too, right?
Yeah.
So what happened with that a couple of years ago, like where they just got rid of Victory totally? What was the decision behind Polaris in doing that?
I think it was all to do with sales. I mean, the Victory engine is a bulletproof engine, you know.
Yeah, and they look good too. I mean, I know a couple of people in town; they look beautiful bikes.
Yeah, they run good, and there's you know good horsepower numbers. You know, stage 1, stage 2 of a Victory, but they weren't getting the sales in the States that they needed to really keep the brand running. And you know, whether that was a fault of Polaris in the way they marketed it, or you know the way they supported it, I'm not too sure. I mean, there's a couple aspects that you know you could look at, and I think as far as the following for Victory, it was pretty strong. The people that had a Victory were like, you know, they were pro Victory. I had a Victory and I really enjoyed it, you know, and so I went down that road for a while too. But at some point, I guess it was the sales, and you know, I know there was an article done in one of the motorcycle magazines where someone said, you know, when the Indian manufacturing was on the East Coast, or what was the name of the company anyway, and they were saying, you know, they were trying to sell, and then some guy did an article in a motorcycle magazine saying if you bought the Indian dealership, you know, the brand name, you're going to do like $10 million just in T-shirts, you know. And if you bought the bike and you developed a motor, and you know, they went through this whole process of what it would be worth. And then next thing you know, Polaris bought them and they ran with it, and they've done quite well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're chasing after Harley right now. Are they keeping up with Harley in sales in the you know, the iconic American cruiser kind of bike? Are they getting into that kind of image too?
And there again, you know, Polaris doesn't put out numbers, but you know, they are producing a lot of bikes. I know that, and they'll never, I shouldn't say never, but they aren't where Harley's at now as far as production numbers, but they are doing quite well, and obviously it's still viable that they can still engineer some new models and come up with some new bikes, right? So
you think they'll ever pass Harley Indian?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yeah,
that's a really
what would
tough
have
question.
to change? Harley go bankrupt, maybe?
Well, you know, I guess, I don't really foresee that happening, but there'd have to be some, you know, huge changes, you know, that would draw people over. And Harley's had such a huge following that, you know, that it's hard to change people, you know,
well,
from
maybe
brands.
if Harley just got rid of all their gas engines and went totally electrical, Indian would just take the market over, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. That would happen if you saw something like that.
Yeah. And then, so we're like, I know everyone's familiar with Harley. They're out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I know they just had their 120th anniversary big party. Yeah. One of my lords went down and partied for the Green Day concert. So where is Indian's manufacturer base out of?
They're in what's the place? It's in Iowa. Yeah, they're the mothership is in Minnesota, but the Indian plant is in Iowa. I'm trying to think of the name of the lake in Iowa, but anyway, it's
in Iowa.
Iowa,
Hawkeye State, hey?
Yeah, and their engine plant is still in Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not made in China?
No. So yeah, I mean, the stuff. I mean, you know, they source parts all over, just like everybody else. For instance, on the big engine bikes, you know, the 111, 116, the cylinders come out of Italy.
Okay.
Yeah. So they try and source where they can the best product for the best.
And there's quite the fall, and there's an Indian club here in Calgary.
Yeah, and ours, you know, the one here in Calgary is 1908, which is one of the, you know, eighth in line for Canada, and now I think we're up into the, you know, damn near 2300s, you know, so there's quite a few chapters around.
So if someone has an Indian and is watching this podcast, and they want to join the Indian club, who do they get in touch with here in Calgary?
Well, the president for our club is Paul Simpson.
Okay.
And pretty good guy. He's had a few Indians, both him and his wife, and they're avid riders and avid motorcyclists, and you know, so they've they've done a good job of promoting Indian here.
So probably reach out to the dealership first and join the Indian group there, and then meet up with Paul and stuff like that.
No, exactly. And so there's rides and stuff. We have what we call Wandering Wednesday. We'll go for a ride on Wednesday, and then there's some sauntering Sundays, and a little bit of everything. We just had the regional rally for Indian Motorcycle Rally in Kimberley the end of July here, and we had, I don't know, probably around 350 bikes there. Yeah.
Oh, BC and Alberta?
From all over. They're from guys from as far as the East Coast of Canada, and there's guys from all over the U.S. came.
How long was that?
It was a 3-day thing, Friday,
Just
Saturday,
out in Kimberley, ride out to Kimberley, hang out there 3 days.
So, but they do some rides around there. They put on miles. There's guys that go from there, and they got these big rides that went into the States, then came back, and then over to Nelson, and did that whole, Creston, Nelson run there too, so.
Okay, and I'm pretty familiar with the bikes. We've known each other for quite some time. I've been to the dealership, and you've got the Challenger. What do you think of that bike? It's for Indian.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, in what way?
It's an absolute game changer. Well, they've taken this motor and developed it from scratch.
Okay.
And it's a 60-degree motor, and it's water cooled, and it that motor rocks. It's got horsepower. It's got stamina. And the whole bike itself, the way it was designed, it's a sporty handling bike. It corners well, it rides well, and there's a lot of things.
What's the engine size? 112 in there, or
108?
108. Okay.
Yeah, 108. Yeah.
Okay, so if people aren't familiar with the Challenger, it's sort of like, it would be the Road Glide version of Indian, wouldn't it? Sort of. Well, that kind of shark look to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The latest one. Yeah, with that. It has that shark like.
Fairing
on it, yeah. And
Have you ridden the Road Glide?
I've ridden a Road Glide on a test ride, but I had the very first dual headlight fairing, the 80 Harley Davidson FLT, which is kind of the start of the shark fairing. Okay. And back then, no one wanted it. They said, "Oh, that bike's too Japanese," Okay. And so Harley actually dropped that fairing for quite a few years, and then they brought it back, and now it's a big hit with everybody. So.
And then, have you ridden the Challenger?
No, I haven't rode the Challenger, and I guess I had an opportunity a couple of times, but I just haven't done it. Okay. I guess probably because I know if I ride it, I'll want one. So.
Yeah, probably. What is it, like $42,000 or so?
I think it's a little bit less than that to start, but they're up there depending on what you get. What trim. Yeah.
And then there's the Indian Chief. Is that the next one? Sort of like the street. That's kind of the street light.
Yeah, version. The 111 with it's kind of it's your naked bike. Yeah. Yeah, you can get the Chief with just the steel frame and
Have you ridden those?
No, I sat on them. Yeah, they're pretty cool too. The write-ups are phenomenal.
What about the Chieftain?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, good bike, yeah.
And then what do you think of the flat track? Because they're always winning the flat track races. The FTR.
Yeah, the FTR. Yeah.
What do you think of that bike?
It's a rocket too, and They've done a good job in the motor on that. Yeah. It's,
okay. And have you ridden that at all or no?
No.
He's just ridden your Indian, right?
Yeah, I just stuck with mine. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know they've got out the new Indian, what is it called? The Chief Sport. That's sort of like the lowrider kind of competition to Harley.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one, but I've never seen one. But I've read some reviews on it. It's a smaller bike, more sporty, more kind of cruiser look.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I was getting confused with the frames there, but I know that the write-ups on that bike are phenomenal.
Have you seen that at all or no?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
The little Sport Chief.
Yeah.
What do you think of that
they're
thing?
cool. They're really cool. Yeah, okay. They've done a good job. Yeah.
So they come in like red, blue, purple, I think black and stuff like that.
And with a 116 motor.
Yeah,
smokes.
Yeah. Have you ridden them or no?
No, just sat them and seen had people riding with us that were riding them, and they perform quite well.
And so, like, other than selling bikes, so they do pretty well in retail, selling shirts and cups and everything like Harley does.
They're up there. They're a little better at it now than they were. A few years back. It's coming on strong.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing. I think they're doing good.
Yeah, because I go to Atlanta every quarter, pretty much Atlanta, Georgia, and then in June I was in Atlanta and I wanted to go see this new Indian Chief Sport.
Yeah.
So there's a dealer. If you stay in Atlanta, the Indian dealership's outside Atlanta in Marietta, Georgia.
Oh, okay, right.
So
Yeah.
I took an Uber up there, and you know, like when you go to a Harley dealership, it's just massive. You know, just large. And then you know, it's the dealership for Atlanta. It is a smaller dealership. It's quaint.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of slingshots there, you know, the Polaris slingshots. And on the other side, they had the Indians. And it was a Saturday morning. They did have a demo day, but unfortunately, they had no Indian Chief Sports at all.
Not too bad.
But I did buy a bunch of, like, T-shirts. I bought a polo shirt, you know, because they're really into the racing. You know, that Challenger is always winning those
for sure.
the King of Baggers.
Yeah.
So why have they been able to dominate the King of Baggers?
Well, it's such a, like I say, the engineering behind that motor is so strong to start with, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to do a lot to it, you know, whereas Harley was going out and they were taking, you know, the 114 or 117 and they're building it up to a 131. Well, these guys are still, you know, they started with a 108 and it was 120 horsepower out of the box, you know, so, and then plus it was already a great handling bike before they had to do a lot to it, right?
Yeah.
So that helped, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Harley had to engineer basically a whole new bike and 131 motor.
Fresh.
Yeah.
And then, so if people aren't familiar, King of Baggers is sort of like, you know, it's like MotoGP, but they race these baggers around a track, right?
Exactly.
And it's a whole circuit. They go from Seattle to Dallas, Texas, to Florida, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Have you seen it on TV?
Oh yeah. No,
Have you been to a race at all?
No, I haven't gone to one, but I've watched them quite closely on TV. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And they do kick ass. I mean, the Challenger's pretty. They always win every year, no matter what. Harley can't keep up with them.
But you see, we'd have to change the name here because in Canada we call them deckers, and in the States they call them baggers.
Yeah.
So it'd be King of the Deckers.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll come up here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they got the big enough circuit down in the U.S., and I don't think there's we have this new Rocky Mountain Powerhouse track. Have you been out there at all in Carstairs?
No, I haven't been up there. No.
Yeah, I was up there last month. My brother-in-law, you know, talked me to come in, you know, looking at buying a membership. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's dug into the ground, sort of.
Yeah.
The track is nice. They took me in one of those new C8 Vets around the track.
Oh, nice.
A lot of turns.
Yeah.
But they don't have a clubhouse. They don't have any, you know, condos yet. You know, they have a couple of trailers there. I mean, it's an expensive hobby to get into, you know, tracking a bike or a car. You know, you're going to go through tires and insurance and all that stuff. Money, yeah. Money for nothing and your chicks for free, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, good on them for doing that. They actually had a booth at Two Wheel Sunday. They were there, you know, and so, you know, kudos to them for doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's much needed in the we'll say the Alberta area, period. You know.
Yeah, but you know, it's, you know, the club memberships go from anywhere from 40,000 to 100,000, and there's about 5,000 to 6,000 a year in dues you got to pay.
Yeah.
And then you gotta get up there because Carstairs is like it's a little haul from Calgary.
Yeah, it is a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as close as I thought it was.
Yeah.
And you know, and unfortunately, there's no clubhouse, so there's not much around there you have to bring your own food and water and gas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they did a good job on the track. I mean, I'm keeping my money in the bank for right now, just to let you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, you can get the bug by going to some of these tracks in the States, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah. Or you can go to Area 27 in a Soyuz. That's a nice track out there.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's another area.
Yeah, it's a beautiful track out
Yeah.
there. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll stick around in Calgary, not end up like Race City Speedway that shut down over 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those,
I was out there the last summer they had it open, and that track was just a disaster. There's holes everywhere. There's broken tires everywhere. I was out there for one of the advanced classes for Two Wheel Sunday. Too Cool.
Yeah.
You know, Trevor.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the ideal track to race around in.
Yeah, they weren't putting the money back into it.
No. And they still had all those the horse urinals. Everyone's,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the old 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's the future of Two Wheel Sunday coming forward? Are you still going to be involved in it, or or is it still going to be around? Or are you going to take a step back?
Well, Two Wheel Sunday's going forward, because we had such a strong presence this year for sure.
Yeah.
So, and trying to keep that presence, we're going to try and make some changes here to make it better. So part of making it better is we got to bring in some young blood, right? I'm 60.
Fresh meat.
Well, yeah. Well, some fresh thoughts. I'm 69. You can still, keep using my brain, but I'm still coming from old school, and we want some new school people, thinking about what we can do, and that's making Two Wheel Sunday available to all the groups. Doesn't matter who you are, what you ride, and so. We've been in some talks, that with Ashley from One Broken Biker and
Ashley Taylor, the Ride with Red.
Yeah, okay. And Robbie Sidhu from Fresh Start. That they're considering taking over, getting into Two Wheel Sunday and bringing some new blood on, that they have available. And for instance, we have. Gail Lane's been our treasurer for a few years now. She's been there
forever.
Yeah, and she's living out of town up at Buck Lake, and so it's been pretty stressful for her to come back and forth now. But she's still done a good job. But to take some of the stress off of her and myself, it'd be nice to get some new blood in there. With a chairperson and a new bookkeeper, and anyone else that wants to get involved with Two Wheel Sunday. And I think Robbie and Ashley can bring some pretty good people.
Okay. So it's not like you're going to still be around as a consultant a little bit.
Well, sure. We can't just drop it in their lap and say, here it is, because it is a large process. Of, trying to get the permit and going through all that stuff and arranging, with the landlords and tenants and all that stuff to put this on, and the community as well. We have to let the community.
Well, and there's a lot of prep. I mean, I know you guys. When I was chairperson, you'd have to go out and make sure the gravel's off the road, cut the grass. You'd have to mark you'd have to map out where all the tents are for all the vendors and put their stake. Like this is Joe Blow's tent. Don't go over there, Steve. Right?
No, exactly. And so we've done. We've actually put some money into the site, even though it's a city site. We put some loam and stuff down, and we filled in all the gopher holes and you don't want someone hitting a gopher hole, breaking their ankle, and swimming Two Wheel Sunday. No, exactly. And so we took care of that, and we still manage. The gophers haven't gone away, but we're taking care of.
Gophers will never go away in Calgary. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, and they're everywhere, just like in Caddyshack.
Yeah. But we definitely reduced the amount, the amount of hazards, on the grass site and all that. And so we're quite proud of that. And then, I don't know, I think Two Wheel Sunday has a pretty bright future here. So.
Well, I mean, I remember, when I went there, it's like, I think I saw you guys at the motorcycle show years ago on like Two Wheel Sunday. Okay, I'll just show up. And I was quite impressed to show up on my MV, and I think it was like 2015 or so, and like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it's not a big day. It's only from 10 to 3. Yeah. And you can just enjoy the sunshine. I mean, I just enjoyed going up and down and talking to all the vendors and seeing who's out there and seeing all the bikes and all that stuff. Eh?
And it's fast because there's a lot you can do in one day. Because you could talk to the Harley dealer, you could talk to the, another aftermarket dealer over here, and you could talk to some guys that are on scooters or whatever. I mean, you just learn so much in the day, and it's very quick.
So I mean, like, if anyone's out there, obviously Two Wheel Sunday is another like avenue for a small vendor to get out there. What does it cost to have a booth there?
Well, we've kept the cost down as much as we can here, and we've kept the sites at $50 a spot.
So that's a deal compared to Lilac Festival.
Oh yeah, and
even the motorcycle show.
Motorcycle show, motorcycle events that are down east. They're charging into the thousands. You know, and we've even gone to the small garage guys, and some people that were kind of your trinket vendors making the odd part for a motorcycle or whatever, and just said, if it's a hardship on you, I'll give you a spot. We want you to be there. We want you to be successful. So if you're making parts or whatever, you're working on bikes, we'll will make it possible for you to be there.
Yeah.
And then, same thing for the dealerships.
Yeah.
We want them to be there too. And for some, it's a hardship because they'd have to pay overtime for people to be
It's
there.
on a Sunday too.
Yeah, it's on a Sunday. But
yeah.
we're so inexpensive that it kind of offsets what they'd have to pay anywhere else. A bang for their buck. I think everyone's doing quite well.
Yeah. Okay. And then. So the whole thing is how many vendors did you have out this year? 80?
Yeah, around
and that's
80,
pretty
80 plus.
good.
No, we did pretty good. Yeah, we're usually around about 100, but then there's quite a few people that are businesses that didn't make it through COVID. So
yeah, well, that's unfortunate. You
Yeah.
know, I've got my own theories of COVID, which I'll leave for another episode. Why it came about and all that stuff. But I'll let you know. Like, you guys run head to head with Lilac Festival, which obviously is just insane to get over 100,000 people there. You guys are always. I think you got 9,000 to 10,000 people consistently every year.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
I know you can do both Lilac Festival and Tool Sunday, because I did it this past Sunday.
Yeah.
I was at Lilac Fest for a couple hours. Then I popped up and I think I saw you for lunch.
Yeah.
And we're talking to Elevate about my bike, maybe doing some changes on it, which I didn't go forward with.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyone out there, you know what? You can go to Lilac Fest in the morning, head up to Tool Sunday, and check out the bikes, and maybe you can get that motorcycle bug like Bobby and ride forever, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or just have a fun time and talk to cool people up there.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's what we want. And just people to integrate and people to learn some new stuff.
Yeah, make
fun.
new friends and just get involved into the motorcycle culture.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Take away some barriers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And everyone's a rider up there. It doesn't matter if you ride a Harley, a KTM, or even like a Hayabusa. It doesn't matter, right?
No,
everyone's welcome.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're all welcome to be there. In fact, you'll find the guys that might have a Harley and a Hayabusa and a scooter in their garage. No, but
so,
they're all there. Right?
You got the younger generation, and they're still into their. I mean, there's still the sport bikes out there, but I've noticed they've been gravitating to these naked bikes because they're just as fast. They're better seating position. You can still act like a hooligan on them. But if you're riding a naked street triple, you don't feel shy to go up to the Tool Sunday and hang out with the Harley guys, right?
No,
Everyone's
exactly.
welcome.
Yeah. Bring your Triumph or whatever you want. I think one of the
or even your Ducati Street Fighter that costs $50,000 out the door, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. I noticed one of the bikes that was pretty popular this year was the Yamaha. Was it MT-10?
Yeah. I don't like that bike. I mean, MT-10. I like the MT-09 SP, the smaller version. Yeah.
But they rumble. They have a nice rumble to them when they got them tuned up.
I think it's too big. It's got that Transformer eye look, and I read the reviews on the MT-10. My recommendation is get an MT-09 SP, save some money, and maybe get some real good riding gear. If you wipe out, you're going to protect your body.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And so you're born here in Calgary. Are you any kind of sports fan? Do you follow the Stampeders, the Flames, anything like that?
I follow the Flames on TV and go down to the odd game, but it's
sometimes you get some tickets that show up at your house unannounced, right?
I have a friend.
I don't know who that is.
I have a friend that sends me tickets.
Exactly. I think you got a dog that's related to Roosevelt, right?
Yeah, exactly. There must be Roosevelt that's sending.
Yeah, I think it's Roosy saying it to Penny, and then you guys steal them from Penny, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The tickets?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you're a Flames fan?
Yeah, definitely a Flames fan. I don't follow the football that closely, but no. But I guess Grey Cup and stuff, but
so what do you think of the Flames this year? I mean, they pretty much got rid of their team with Monahan gone and Gaudreau, and Matt Tkachuk's down in Miami Beach with all the hot babes and his Ferraris.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, I think that I think we're going to see some exciting things come out of the Flames because they're focused and they're focused on rebuilding and making it new. So I think we'll see a whole new.
But what do you think of that Saddle Dome? I mean, you think they have to implode that and get a new stadium here in Calgary?
It's been a tough building since the day they built it. They've had issues with it.
Well, it was a nice building. We built it for the Olympics. It was pretty cool to have like a stadium look like a saddle bronc, horse saddle.
But then that was kind of its drawback too, because they couldn't put the all the big venues in there for bands and stuff like that because they couldn't hang the equipment from the ceiling. So that kind of killed it. And so looking forward to see them having a new arena and new sports center down there, and a new Electric Avenue, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, one day.
It'll happen.
Well, they have a whole plan because I know that BMO Center is pretty impressive. It's massive. It's going to be the biggest conference center in Western Canada, which will be good for Calgary for business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens with the motorcycle show this year. If we get a motorcycle show,
well, there was an announcement a couple of weeks ago. Ashley had sent it to me. I guess it's coming in February in Calgary.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, see how much space they take up too. It'd be nice if they.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if the big manufacturers end up showing up because last year there was like Suzuki doesn't want to spend the money to ship that stuff. I've heard Blackfoot has to fork out half the bill for the Ducati booth, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, with COVID, I know a lot of dealers have done very well financially,
Yeah.
Because they just sold a lot of bikes when people couldn't go to Europe or the U.S. for
they had
holidays.
to do something.
Yeah. So hopefully the motorcycle show comes back. It's been gone for a couple of years now.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see it come back. We'll see what happens. And so, like you say, the demographics have changed so vastly in the past couple of years. So, with the manufacturers and the dealers and everything. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, the enthusiasts are still there. We're still there. We're still buying bikes and we're still riding them. So,
have you seen like the younger generation? Are they still following to motorcycling, or are they too busy with having the new iPhone 15, spending the money on that?
I don't know. I think, I'll go back to what I was saying earlier about the bicycle side of things and then the electric bike side of things. That I think it's coming. I think we're going to see a big change happening with the younger generation getting involved into more motorcycles. Yeah.
But those bicycles aren't cheap anymore. Those Santa Cruzes are like $12,000-$15,000 out the door, for a bicycle now here in Calgary.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, God, I could buy myself a pretty good, motorcycle for the same price as that electric bike. But so it's obviously that people still have money for that sort of thing. So, and it's just a matter, and I don't know. I think right now, the safety side's more. For the motorcycle side of things with helmets and the gear and all that. So, I think if people get hurt on bicycles or whatever, then they might be thinking a little bit more about,
I like a couple summers ago, I grabbed a fistful of front brake on my mountain bike and I did an endo and I fractured 3 of my back ribs.
Oh.
I went home and I felt like a knife, like right in my back. I couldn't even breathe and go to the doctor. Hey, you need x-rays. And I went to Mayfair x-ray near where I live, and Lay said, okay, can you stay here, Steve? We need the radiologist to check your x-ray. Yeah, there were fractured ribs.
Wow.
So, you can get injured pretty good on a bicycle.
No, exactly. Yeah. So you still need the safety gear. And, so maybe.
And what do you think there's still a safety concern of, the younger generation getting on a bike and getting hit by a car or anything like that, or no?
For if they're on bicycles or motorcycles?
No, if they're scared of getting onto the motorcycles.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. The way I see some people ride the bicycles, they're so ballsy riding the motorcycles or the bicycles without the gear on. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, you don't have to wear a bicycle helmet if you're an adult.
Yeah.
But you can go down the road at 50k an hour, wipe out, and crack your head open on the concrete and still die.
It's no different than I said. I started on a Suzuki 50. I mean, that thing would, it wouldn't do 50 mile an hour type thing.
But you still kill yourself.
Exactly. And I had to wear a helmet, and I had to have insurance and all this other stuff back in the day. And now people are riding bicycles that will go faster and quicker than my motorcycle would have back in the day. And they don't have insurance, they don't have a helmet, they don't have any protective gear.
Even if they have a helmet on, they're wearing like shorts, and even you wipe out, you can blow your knee out.
That's
All right. So no predictions for the Flames making the Stanley Cup final this year, eh?
No, I just think they're going to have a great. I think they're going to have a great season, though. I think it's coming, and I'm very, very positive.
Do you think they'll make the playoffs, or they'll be out of the playoff picture again this year?
I don't know. It's such a tough call, the way they're building the teams and stuff. If we're not in it this year, then definitely next year we'll be in it.
Okay. So. All right. Well, hopefully there's hope for the Flames, but Mike Richards, I remember him. He used to be on 960 radio here in Calgary, and then he went back to TO. He had a joke about the Flames. The Flames are like a cup of tea. They're good for they're like a bag of tea. They're good for one cup, which is true.
Yeah.
I mean, I was here in '89, and I remember, do you remember '89 when we won the cup and the city went crazy, and all the cars are down Electric Avenue downtown.
It was like, wow.
I mean, I've lived it, so. But hopefully the next generation of Calgarians, including, my kids, can see us win another cup. Hopefully one day. If not, just get on the plane and go to Vegas, and they'll probably win 10 cups there because everybody wants to go play there now.
No, exactly, yeah. I don't know. Like I say, I don't know. I still think there's the Flames have seen their errors and are looking for room for improvement. And I think we're seeing them make those steps. So.
Yeah, but hopefully they'll get a new stadium, hey?
And just cross your fingers.
Those tickets come in from Roosevelt to your family.
Thank you. Yeah.
Make sure you steal it from Penny, okay? Maybe have some nice seats to sit in one game with you and Wendy. Eh?
Oh, yeah, it'd be nice, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, being a rider and, loving riding myself, I thank you again. I really appreciate everything you've done for the motorcycle community here. You're an icon for the, motorcycle community here in Calgary. You taking the initiative to set up Two Will Sunday. I mean, I've been involved in it. I've been the chairperson for 2 years. I know how much dedication and time it's taken away from you and your work and your family. Yeah. And I just want to thank you for, setting up Two Will Sunday. It's just a great environment. I recommend anyone go out there. The first Sunday in June, get down to Two Will Sunday and just enjoy. Even if you don't ride a bike, just show up and enjoy the food trucks, the environment, smell the gasoline while gas run motorcycles still around, eh?
And it's free. It's free to attend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So and then thanks for showing up, and I know it's the end of summer, but hopefully you have a good fall and everything's good with you, Wendy, and Penny. Okay.
Yeah. There's more riding around the corner.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you. Until next time. This is the Bulldog Brewhouse podcast. Hopefully everyone has a great day, and until next time. Stay safe, and if you're on the roads, just make sure you drive or ride properly, and stay away from accidents. Thanks. Cheers.